What's up, guys? MurderofBirds here, and this is my review for RWBY Volume 2, Episode 6. This episode was phenomenal. It was incredible. It was funny, so much development, and it was just amazing on all fronts. And I don't know about any of you guys, but I feel like it was longer than the 13 minutes of the actual episode itself, just by the amount of development that we got with Yang, with finding out about Summer Rose, with the with the dance as a whole and everything that it pertained to. So much information and development in this episode, and you could just take a lot of things in. And it just makes it so much more enjoyable to just break things down and find out, how things are going to play out with the dance, and especially the cliffhanger at the end. But I'm going to try my very best to cover everything that I noticed in this episode. I'm going to go in chronological order so I don't miss anything. And I apologize for any of you guys who noticed this, but I am actually under the weather. I'm very sick today. I have a stuffy nose. I got somewhat of a head cold, but I was like, screw it. RWBY's out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a review tomorrow, so I'll put one out today. I hope you guys enjoy it. But getting into some information, and something that caught my attention was, initially leading up to the dance of, decorating and all that stuff, and everyone's thinking like, hey, what are you gonna wear to the dance? Decorations and all that stuff. And one thing that I noticed right off the bat is what Sun Wukong mentioned. He mentioned, and we find out this episode, that he is from the kingdom of Vacuo. Now, he's from the kingdom of Vacuo, which would assume that he was born there, but he moved and I guess was raised, or currently resides in Mistral, which he also mentioned when he was like, I'm going to wear, my normal getup to the dance because, I might be from Mistral, I might live in Mistral, but I'm from Vacuo. And I guess Mistral is a lot more formal because he mentions that he's not into the whole suit and tie formality, of apparel, of getup, of attire. So I feel like with that in mind, Neptune is from Mistral because he's very classy, he's very stylish, he's got a suit, he's got, like that vest sweater thing, he's got a tie underneath with an undershirt, and he's just looking really stylish all the time. So I feel like he is from Mistral, while Sun lives in Mistral, but he's from Vacuo, which is probably how they know each other. So that's a little bit of information of the outside kingdom, maybe their customs, or their culture, or maybe just their attire of how they present themselves as a society. So I think that was pretty informative to get right at the beginning. I was really shocked. I was like, oh wow, we get to finally know where he's from, and all that stuff, and a little bit of tidbit information. Hopefully they mention that in a World of Remnant segment about the other kingdoms if we don't get them in this actual volume. But moving on from there, the shipping. Let me know how you guys felt about the shipping in this episode. I love all the different types of shipping. They're pretty awesome. They're pretty amazing. I personally have my own set of ships, but I'm not a stranger, and I am not an enemy of any other shippings out there. We got Bumblebee shipping. We got Team Sloth. Bumblebee being Blake and Yang, Team Sloth being Nora and Lyren, Solar Eclipse being Sun and Blake. And I don't know what Jean and Ren is, if that's kind of like a yaoi shipping, but that was also somewhat evident this episode, at least to me. But from there, moving on, Lyren's got a lot more dialogue, at least in this episode. We haven't seen him that much. We saw him in the first episode, which he got blitzed during the food fight, but we didn't really get much of him in Volume 1 either. We got those little fighting scenes with him here and there. We got a line or two, which is kind of ironic because Montium, the creator of RWBY, plays that voice character. So I can understand why he has like one or two lines, just because he's doing everything else in terms of animation. He animates all of the crazy-ass action scenes of the series. So I can understand if he has one or two lines. But personally, I think Lyren's a boss. I love I love who he's alluded to, which I believe is Mulan. He's referenced to Mulan. And I just like him as a character. I like the way he looks. His fighting style is pretty awesome. And I just wish we got a lot more with him, at least especially with him and Nora, because it seems obviously apparent that Nora has a massive crush on him. So just getting more Ren would just be really awesome. And I like the whole scenario that they were in with Jean pulling him away from, like, he just got out the shower, he's in his towel in the middle of the room, and he's trying to grab his uniform, like, dude, I'm practically naked and you're asking me about girls and stuff. Nora's laying right there, Pyrrha just walked in, like, what's going on? So I definitely like that entire ordeal, that entire scene with Jean. He's like, hey, can you ask me about girls? How did you get with Pyrrha? I'm sorry, how'd you get with Nora? And then we switch to Nora. Can we talk about Nora real quick? I feel like I'm fanboying right now, but I don't even care. Let's talk about Nora real quick, okay? Her boop shirt, that's adorable as fuck, all right? Excuse my French, but that shirt is adorable, all right? Volume 1, she's pretending to be a sloth. She comes out of the tree, boop. right on Ren's nose, the boop heard around the world. I loved that so much. And then moving on from there, she's got the shirt that says Boop. And I don't know if it's a button or if it's an actual shirt, but in the Rooster Teeth story, they have that exact Boop design. Like I said, I don't know if it's actually a shirt or if it's a button or a pin, but I thought that was pretty cool that they added that concept to be like, hey, remember this? This is what Nora is known for, the Boop heard around the world. I thought that was pretty awesome. And she's, trying to keep her ears, closed so that way she doesn't overhear them talking, because I guess Jean thinks that them two are together, and then she's like, we're not together, kind of like how she was first introduced when it was them two together on a team, Ren and Nora on a team. So I thought that was pretty funny too. And I feel like, I guess just me, I am extremely attentive to detail. The song that she was listening to on her headphones, if you guys listen in very closely, it's the instrumentals for the song Gold, which is on the Volume 1 soundtrack. A very great song. If none of you have heard it, go check that song out. And if any of you guys know it, it's an awesome song. And I feel like it's pretty cool that she was listening to a soundtrack of the actual series, just the instrumental, but you could definitely tell that it was gold. So, the whole thing leading up, the whole thing of that scene of, Team Juniper is Jean freaking dummy arc. Okay, idiot Jean. Continuing, I don't understand what in his mind made him so head over heels for Weiss. Like I said, Volume 1, the reason why he's so head over heels for her is because he was joking around. She was joking around with Ruby. She was like, oh, we should paint our nails and talk about cute boys like Tall Blonde and Scraggly over there. And ever since then, he's just been head over heels. She hasn't done anything for him to be swoon over her. She could be attractive, she could be smart, but she has no interest in getting to know you. She has no interest in, pursuing a relationship with you. And that should be apparent from the get-go, you know what I mean? And I guess it does suck for Jean because it's like, all you need is confidence. Any man could be able to sweep any woman off her feet, and apparently that's just not the case with him. And, I'll also mention another thing that is a little, the context is somewhat relevant in this. He mentions, like, have you ever, when he's talking to Ren, he's like, Weiss is smart, she's beautiful, I'm head over heels for her, she doesn't notice me, and have you heard her sing? He mentions, have you heard her sing? Now, when have we heard Weiss sing? White Trailer. The White Trailer, as we know, all the colored trailers of the series are all past events. And I feel like because she is very renowned being a member of the Schnee family, I feel like either A, he was at that performance because her trailer is like a performance of her singing, and then she has like an internal conflict where she's fighting that giant iron statue. But she's singing nonetheless. So I don't know if he saw that performance live or if he heard about it or if he just listened to the song and just heard her voice and he was just like, wow, she's miraculous. She's a great singer. But I noticed that and I was like, I felt like that alluded to her trailer, the White Trailer. But I don't know about any of this. I felt so bad for Pyrrha, dude. I felt so bad for her because she's too good of a friend, okay? Not only is she taking time out of her day to help this kid train to become the huntsman that he's always wanted to be, to follow in his family's footsteps, okay? Not only is she taking time out of her day to help him out and train with him and get to know him better as a teammate, because they are, as a team, they are Team Juniper, but them two set their eyes together. They set their sights on one another in the Emerald Forest when they were paired up. These two are a combined unit, and they're going through really detrimental times, and it's just crazy to me that he's just so oblivious to the fact that she cares about him to the point where she makes it apparent, like, hey, if that's how you feel about Weiss, go for her. Tell her everything that you feel and you cannot go wrong. If she doesn't feel the same way, then it's not meant to be. Just her, I can only imagine what she was feeling like. I really care for you. I have a thing for you, but I want to see you as a friend. I want to see you happy. I want to see you be with who you want to be with, and I'll put you before myself. And to me, that was just like, she's just the best person to be, the best friend to have. She sees the best in everyone. She apologizes all the time. She's going out of her way to help this kid, and she's catching feelings for him, but at the same time, she's not letting those feelings get the better of her when it comes to what she wants best for Jean. And I feel like it was just really, really impactful, and I felt so bad for her that, she's giving all this advice, and I agree with Nora. Practice what you preach, you know what I mean? And it just sucks. The whole situation sucks, at least for her case, because personally, I want Arcos, which is Pyrrha and Jean's shipping name. I want them two to be together. To me, it's just the most sensible. They get along very well. I feel like he thinks that she's too good for him because she's like world renowned. She's gorgeous. She's an amazing fighter. She's got all of this recognition amongst everybody, and to him, she's just out of his league. But dude, and then on top of that, what solidifies that is the fact that he was there when Weiss mentioned, confessed her affection of wanting Neptune to take her to the dance, and not she shut down Jean, but she was the first one to go and ask Neptune. Which, what I think is going to happen, if you guys analyze that scene a little bit. First off, I want to mention the instrumentals for that scene was very well done. It's the instrumentals for the new song that was showcased at the very end of the episode 3 credits. I don't know the name of it, but I can already tell that is the instrumentals. Not the instrumentals, but like the piano. Yeah, kind of the piano instrumental for that song. But getting back to the topic at hand, okay? I feel like she asked Neptune, but if you notice at the dance, Weiss was by herself. She was amongst her teammates. You didn't see Neptune there. And when she asked, hey, would you like to accompany me to the dance, he had his hand behind his back like, yeah, about that. I'm going with somebody else, or I'm going with Yang, because I feel like he has a thing for Yang, at least from the group. He's going with Yang, or he's going with someone else, or he's not going, or he's got other plans. And I feel like she got shot down, but he wasn't there to see it because he instantly dropped the rose and left. So that scene in of itself, I felt bad for Jean, but at the same time, I'm looking at the silver lining of you're in a crappy situation of getting shot down. Pierre is in a crappy situation of you not even noticing her, and assuming that she's got these guys everywhere that are just waiting to ask her out. And he's going to end up wearing a dress because I feel like she's not there either. No one of Team Juniper is at the dance right now. Cinder isn't at the dance either, but I feel like that's alluding to the plans, but I'll get to that in a second. But the whole concept of Team Juniper not being there, I feel like some of them probably are fashionably late, but in terms of Jean and Pyrrha not being there, I feel like that's going to be a thing. And I would love it. Personally, I would love it if them two just are both on top of the roof where they train, and they're both in their attire, like their dance attire, and they both just end up confessing to one another, hey, I'll be there for you, you be there for me, and they start developing a relationship, and they just dance amongst themselves on that rooftop. If that happens, I will be so freaking happy, but that's just wishful thinking right now, and I feel like I've just dragged that on a little bit longer, but that's just one thing that I noticed, okay? So moving on from there. Summer, Rose, and Yang Xiaolong's development this episode. Summer Rose is one of the most eluded characters of this series because, to be quite honest, we know very little about her. We only know the fact that she is Ruby's mother, and from the red trailer, she is dead. We don't know how that went about, but we got a backstory. And I love how they take the backstories of the series into animation, because I already know how crazy it is, the whole animation process with, the CGI of the series. So I really like how they actually do hand-drawn animations when they go into backstories, like they did with the White Fang when it came to Blake and her backstory. And then this backstory of RWBY, of baby Ruby and, young Yang, and all that stuff. So I really like that as well, like the hand drawings and the animation when it comes to flashbacks, which I really hope we get more of that in the future. But Summer Rose, all we know about from this episode is that she was a huntress who did missions around the kingdom of Vale, and she left on a mission and didn't come back. We don't know how she died. We don't know who killed her. We don't know anything about. We don't know what she looks like. We don't know her semblance. We don't know her weapon or anything like that. But I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Summer Rose. I really would love maybe season Volume 4, Volume 5. We get a flashback of maybe Ruby's father, Ruby and Yang's father, because it's also mentioned that they both have different mothers but similar fathers. If the father just comes out and mentions, hey, this was your mother, just dives a little bit more into the details of Summer Rose, her ordeal of how she died, and the backstory amongst them two, their team and stuff like that, and then Yang as well. Yang got some crazy development this episode pertaining to Blake as well, which, before I get into that, oh my gosh, the laser. Okay, the laser. Okay, we already know that Blake is a cat. Okay, Volume 1 already took the cake for the ad lib of she does like tuna a lot. Okay, that was already like, okay, she likes tuna a lot. She's a cat. You know, she probably plays with yarn. She probably likes being, you know, pet and all that stuff and purring and all that. But the laser just took the. I was dying so much, and I rewinded that scene so much because it's like that's literally cat-like instincts. She's trying to be serious. She's trying to be focused on finding out more about Torchwick and the White Fang, and then the laser dot from Yang, and then she's just like she's chasing it. And I just thought that was so adorable, so funny. And then they get into the serious debate, the serious discussion of, you know, Blake's pushing herself, and if she pushes herself like Yang pushed herself when she explained her backstory, that's just going to get them killed. I feel like that was very much needed amongst these two being teammates, Bumblebee being teammates, because we didn't really get this development from them in Volume 1. You know, it's like, okay, we're teammates, but that's it. This is very great to see them two come together, especially when they both come from different lives, different, you know, lifestyles, different backgrounds and all that, but they have this common, you know, this common thing that they can identify with of, you know, Yang was in the same situation that Blake's kind of in, but that could have, she could have died as a kid and gotten RWBY in danger too with all those creatures of Grimm. So in terms of the development for Bumblebee, I really enjoyed that a lot, and it just shows, like, and it just pushes more the development of Yang, and not just that, but in the sense of, if you take into context, Yang's mother has been out of her life since she was born. We don't know about her. We don't know anything that alludes to, okay? Yang's, RWBY's mother has been dead since RWBY was young. So at the same time, this whole development just puts you in the scenario, it puts you in the perspective of Yang has had to be a mother figure to RWBY for a majority of her life. And, you know, to see her, you know, still be this upbeat, cheerful, kind, caring person, but at the same time, this kick-ass, badass chick who's trying to be a huntress, it just gives a lot of respect. I just have a lot of respect and admiration for Yang just because of that. So that's just something that I wanted to get off my chest right there. But in terms of the backstory of Summer Rose, we got a lot of information. First off, their dad. We don't know much about their dad. We don't know his name. We don't know what he looks like. What his, you know, he was a teacher at Signal at the time. I don't know if he still is. By the way, him being a teacher at Signal and Crow being a teacher at Signal, I don't know if they're related, like if they're brothers from the mother's side or father's side. I don't know how that all works. From if she's an uncle from the father, or if she's the uncle from Summer Rose or from Yang's mother. But just by the fact that they both are at Signal and that's the uncle to RWBY and Yang, that just makes me feel like they're brothers, essentially. And they both teach at Signal. I feel like they're both badasses. Crow was teased yet again. We got teasers from him in Volume 1, and he's a scythe master. He taught RWBY everything that she knows, and at this point, it's like, I need to see Crow by the end of Volume 2. I don't care if there's no action regarding him. I don't care about any of that. I want to see Crow, what he looks like, at least by the end of Volume 2. At least by the last episode. Because, you know, it was teased at the very end of Volume 1, so that'd be pretty awesome if he shows up at the very end of Volume 2. But, you know, the father, it was mentioned that the father, you know, was down in the dumps because Summer Rose was his second love that he lost, the first one being Yang's mother. We don't know about Yang's mother. Yang doesn't even know about her mother. Very little information on her. We know that she was on a team with Crow and Summer Rose, which I also believe that, I'm assuming that the father was also on the team. So you got RWBY and Yang's dad, you got Summer Rose, RWBY's mother, Yang's mother, and then Crow on a team. So you already got a 4-man team right there. So at this point, I'm like, okay, what's their team name? What's the relationship between all these characters? What are they all alluded to? So that's something that I'm looking forward to dissecting into analyzing as the series progresses. I feel like this review is extremely long, but at this point, I don't care. This episode was awesome. One thing that I also will mention is a lot of people in the community think that Cinderfall is Yang's mother because we don't really know about her, and Montium already confirmed that Cinderfall is not RWBY's mother. So, and they have different mothers. Yang doesn't know what her mother looks like. We don't know if Yang's mother is dead or if she, you know, went to the dark side or got corrupted or anything like that. I personally feel like because Yang's mother was the first love, maybe down the line, I don't know if she left the father or if the father caught feelings for Summer, or maybe because like, and that's very, it's very conflicting because it's like, yeah, there's a lot of scenarios that you can take from it. Maybe Yang's mother left and then he found a new love for Summer, or maybe he started feeling affections for Summer and that's why the mother left. I don't know, but that's very touchy. That's a very touchy subject. Very little information to just randomly think about something like that. But a lot of people assume that it is Cinder Fall as Yang's mother, which that'd be a pretty crazy plot twist, to be completely honest. I really wouldn't mind if that was the case, because Yang doesn't know what she looks like. No one knows the connection, at least I don't think anyone knows the connection besides the father and maybe Summer, but she's dead. Maybe Crow as well, but Crow doesn't, Crow's not in the action. But that's just something that I really know, that particular point. The Summer Rose backstory, the Yang development, the Bumblebee development was just phenomenal. I'm looking forward to more Crow. I want to know about his weapon, the fact that he's a teacher at Signal, the fact that the brothers, the father was a teacher at Signal, they were on a team together. I really want to know more about the team as well. But moving on from there, towards the end, the costume changes once again. The dance dresses, adorable, dude. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like, I really don't give a shit at this point, because like, I love the series as a whole, and I felt like that was like, it was RWBY just walking in like, oh, I hate these dresses, how does Weiss fight in these, I hate these stilts, I just want to wear my cape and worry about fighting. Ozpin's coming in giving his 2 cents like, hey, you can't just be a fighter all day, you gotta learn to dance, dancing is similar to fighting and all that stuff. And just the costume changes were really awesome. We saw costume changes for not Neptune. We saw costume changes for Blake. Yeah, well, obviously Team RWBY, Emerald, and Mercury at the very end, as well as Sun Wukong. We got a little, he's got a little tie thing going on, I guess. That was pretty awesome, and I got to give shout-outs to Rooster Teeth, because I know the hassle and I know the extra work that they have to put in. When a new costume comes into play, they have to create a new 3D model for that costume. So just think about how many times they've actually had to do this for the fans as well, and just for the overall atmosphere of the series. The pajamas, they actually have to do a 3D model for the pajamas, then they have to do a new 3D model for their normal attire, and then a new 3D model for their alternate costumes that they had a few episodes ago, and then another 3D model change for these dresses for this dance. So shout out to Rooster Teeth for the extra effort and input that they're doing with this series. And, just the fact that they're trying to make this as great as possible. And the costume changes are really great amongst the community. Everyone enjoys them. Everyone loves them, especially myself. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the new fan art and stuff like that pertaining to these dresses and the dance as a whole. Oh, man, I felt like I just rambled. Like, this episode was it was awesome. And one last thing that I will mention, too. When Blake went to Sun and he turned to her when she said, I knew you'd look good with the tie on. If any of you guys remember from Volume 1 when she took her bow off and exposed her cat ears when she told Team RWBY that she was part of the White Fang, he mentioned to her, I knew you'd look good with the bow off. And I just feel like that was just really clever, the way that they added that in, just to be like, hey, you did it to me in Volume 1, so I'm going to do it to you in Volume 2 with the tie off with the bow. Phenomenal episode. So much information. I love this episode so much. This anime, this series is just, every week they just go above and beyond. Animation, I feel every episode, I feel animation gets better. Soundtrack, we got a new song at the end. What? We got a new song at the ending credits. That was awesome. I'm already hyped for Volume 2 soundtrack. Team Juniper, like I said, Team Juniper isn't at the dance yet. Cinderfalla isn't at the dance yet. They're very fashionably late. Emerald and Mercury just showed up, and I feel like their plans are just in motion. I don't know if Cinder's been weaving a dust dress for herself, or even a dust attire for them as well, because they also got costume changes, if they have dust woven in. Because I feel like shit's about to go down next episode, particularly at the dance, because especially Mercury, he was like, oh, we wouldn't miss this dance for the world. And then the previous episode, Cinder was like, hey, we're going to have a very eventful weekend. So I feel like they're going to crash the dance. Things are going to go down. Ozpin's there, but I feel like just because Ozpin's there doesn't mean it's going to be all safe and security, because they are going to be caught off guard. They're not expecting students to be in the school, infiltrating the school as enemies. But phenomenal episode. Brilliant episode. I loved it to pieces. I loved it to death. Everything, the development, Summer Rose backstory, Yang development, Jean Arc, and his whole dilemma that he's going down with, costume changes, Everything about this episode, through the roof. But that is all I've got, dude. Like, 13 minutes, and this is everything that I've conspired from this episode. Everything that just came together. That's why I feel like the episode wasn't 13 minutes to me. To me, it felt like a half an hour episode just from all the information I'm just taking in from this episode as a whole. But phenomenal, brilliant, perfect, funny, enjoyable, emotional, serious, and so much more that I can just continue to talk about with this episode. But let me know what you guys thought about it. I've rambled on long enough. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode, what you liked about it, what you're looking forward to, what were your favorite moments, what was funny to you, what was serious to you, how do you feel about the backstory, how do you feel about Yang's development, what do you think is going to happen at the dance, how do you feel about Jean and Pierre, are they going to tie things up, do you think Weiss got knocked off, do you think Weiss got turned down from Neptune, all that stuff in between. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you are a fan of RWBY. If you like this review, if you liked anything I had to say, I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe, because I will be doing reviews for the remainder of the series. And if you're not, if you're new to my channel as well, I'd really appreciate that. But that's all I've got. I feel like that's everything I have to say about this. My jaw's about to fall off, but that's all I've got. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys next week. Take care.